excited to have you here.
Well, it's wonderful to be here. Thank you. And I really appreciate your market center making the commitment to bring me in for once a month, right? Wednesdays,
Yep.
Wednesdays with Dave.
Wednesdays with Dave.
And we'll launch it here, and wonderful for that commitment. And I want your agents to know that you guys invested in this, bringing me here. So it's part of your commitment to them to bring them world-class training that will make a difference in their careers. So I deeply respect that.
Yeah, we're so excited. And I know Dawn's on too. She's one of our ALC members, and she was really helping get it all out to everybody as well too. So
well, that's great, Dawn. Thank you for your support and for making things happen. And I think it's really wonderful when a market center really listens to its ALC leaders.
Yeah, definitely. We love our ALC.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome.
Well, should we dive in? Should we just get started?
You can absolutely dive in. I know we've got a lot of people that are coming in. I still see some people jumping on right now. So if you want to get started, that's perfect. We've got a couple more joining us here in the training room. So
How are you?
yeah, go ahead and get started.
I will. So I want to know to everyone, I'm on Mo Anderson time. She was the famous CEO of Keller Williams and most our cultural icon. And she taught me, she said, Dave, we always start on time because we make the commitment to people that are there on time. We honor them, and we make no judgment about people who show up after that. That's up to them. People get to show up when they want to show up. But we do honor the people that are here. So we are going to plunge in. Thank you. My name's Dave Jenks. I've been in the real estate business for over 30 years. I helped write Gary Keller and Jay write MREA and MREI and Shift, and which are the 3 best-selling books in the history of real estate. Built Keller Williams as the Dean of Keller Williams University for 12 years. For the last 10 years, I've been out doing other entrepreneurial ventures, built another national company called Master Networks, a business-to-business referral company, not in real estate, but I mean, realtors join it, but it's not a real estate company. And then for the last 2 years, I've been back with Keller Williams doing training. In fact, this is since last March, since a year ago, this is the 219th Zoominar that I've done for Keller Williams. So it's wonderful to be with you. Let me tell you what I want to do today. This is going to be a special opportunity for those of you who've chosen to be here. And one of the things that I want to say and pass on to you from Gary Keller is that we honor people who are learning based. When Gary and I were building Keller Williams University, and he said, Dave, what do you think differentiates the highest achievers in real estate from the others? And we talked about that, and we both agreed that they're learning based, they're training oriented, they really work to improve their skills, increase their knowledge, and therefore get better outcomes. And so those of you who are here, it's never convenient to go to training and education, ever. You've always got other things on your plate, other things on your to-do list. There, it's always there. It's never convenient to go to training. And yet, the greatest real estate agents in the history of the industry, and certainly in the history of Keller Williams, are committed to their own education and development. In fact, modern psychologists call it the difference between growth-oriented people and stability-oriented people in achievement industries. I said growth-oriented people believe they can increase their knowledge, expand their bandwidth of skill, improve their attitudes, and get better outcomes. But people who are stability-oriented say, what you see is what you get. I am who I am, doing the best with what I've got. And nothing wrong with that. We're not judging it. It's just that they are not the ones that are the high achievers. They're not the ones that make progress. And so we're going to talk about that today. So here's the interesting thing. When I first got into the game of business as a VP of sales and marketing in upstate New York, a friend of mine suggested that I take the Dale Carnegie sales course. And I took it, and I really learned that selling is an amazing profession that requires incredible skill, and building an effective sales presentation is the heart of that. And those skills I learned, I took with me to Century 21. I became a training director for them. I became a 3-state regional director for them out of New York. I was then moved to Texas to head up a 7-state division, to become the president and CEO of a 7-state division for Century 21. And then I saw this little company. I was in Dallas, and I saw this little company growing in Austin, and they were just reinventing themselves in all the ways that are underpinning Keller Williams today. And I watched them grow in that market. And I said, wow, if I were going to reinvent a real estate company, it wouldn't be like this Century 21, big corporate brand name. It wouldn't be like that, even though we were #1 in the world. It would be like this little company, Keller Williams, that Gary Keller is building, which is really dedicated to the agents and very training oriented. Well, it was neat. 4 years later, I got a call from Mo Anderson, and she said, Dave, Gary and I would love to have you on our team because we believe you know more about real estate franchising than anyone we know in the industry, and we love the way that you teach to agents. So that's interesting that all that happened. And of course, I joined them. We built Keller Williams University. We grew from 2,000 agents to 72,000 agents, and now 172,000 agents, #1 in the world, because we are excellent. We're a company dedicated to excellence and dedicated to the success of our real estate agents. We call our offices market centers, but we probably should call them energy centers, where agents come in, plug in, power up, and go after their goals. So let's dive into what I want to talk about today. Why list with me? The power of your words. And there's some really clear things that I want to do. First of all, I want to help you become a powerful listing agent. What we do in the next hour and 15 minutes could change the trajectory of your career. I promise you it could. I want to give you the wisdom that comes from all the agents I've worked with over the years. But the heart of it is to become a powerful listing agent, because listers last. When you have a listing agent, you build credibility. One of my early mentors, Mike Ferry, said, here's the key to real estate, Dave. List a home, tell the world you listed it. Sell the home, tell the world you sold it, go list another home. Kind of simplistic. Well, that's true. In fact, one of the top agents I knew, her name was Jana in Northwest Indiana. I asked her what, she had been #1 in her MLS for over 10 years. And I said, what's the key marketing tool that you use? And she said, just listed, just sold cards. She said, I list a home, I send out 200 to 300 just listed cards that say, so-and-so, and she names the people, have retained me to handle the sale of their home. And this is a chance for you to choose your new neighbor. If you know someone that would like to move here, call me today. So there's that outreach for buyers. Then she said it would sell, and I would send out 200 or 300 just sold cards and said the following home has sold. Now listen to this carefully. It's a great script that you want to use. It said, the sale of any other home impacts the value of yours. If you want to know the value of your home or need to sell it, call Jana today. See, what a great call to action. The sale of any other home impacts the value of yours. If you want to know the value of your home or need to sell it, call me today. So that's the way you become a powerful listing agent. When you are chosen to list a home and your sign goes up, you become instantly credible in that area. And when it sells, you become even more credible. And when everyone in the world knows about it, or you have a density of listings that have sold in an area, you become the go-to agent for that. I want to be real clear, and I want to help you do that. The second thing is I want to help you articulate your value proposition. The ability to articulate why people should work with you is one of the greatest assets you will have. I learned how to articulate things. I learned how to express value propositions, and it's one of the strengths that brought me to Keller Williams. I remember an administrative person, her name was Christy Torian, who worked with me in Century 21 when I was divisional president. After I joined Keller Williams in a few years, so in about 2003, she sent me an email, and she had joined RE/MAX as an administrative person in their corporate office. And she said, Dave, I just came back from a meeting in Atlanta, and we spent a whole afternoon talking about how to compete with Keller Williams. And they put your name up on the screen, and they said, this is the wordsmith. He's the one that's articulating their value proposition and talking to our agents. So we'd better listen to him because that's our competition. Isn't that interesting? Well, I did that. I was the value proposition articulator for Keller Williams. And so I want you to be able to do that for yourself. There's a set of techniques about how you do that. Now, that makes you become a person who's a master of the art of influence. People listen to you and they do what you say because of the way you articulate it, the sincerity you have, and the skill you have at that, and the wisdom you bring. So I want to help you to become more of a person of influence. And then the core of all this is building a great listing presentation. And some people don't understand that. I went to a big meeting, again, run by Mike Ferry, about 2,000 people in the room. And Mike gets up in front and he said, you know, we succeed in real estate based on 3 skills: prospecting, presenting, and closing. Which of those sales skills do you think is most important? How many think it's prospecting? Well, I mean, that's what he teaches. So every hand in the place, 2,000 people went up, and he went, no. How many think it's closing, staying in, answering their questions, and getting them to sign the contract? And, you know, maybe half the hands went up, and he said, no, it's presenting. Because until you have mastered your listing presentation, you won't prospect. You won't have the confidence. You won't know your value proposition. You won't know how to articulate it. You won't know how to answer people's questions. And so you will not prospect until you have mastered your listing presentation, because that's what gives you the confidence. When you become competent at presenting your abilities, then others, then you have confidence and others want to work with you. So I want to help build your confidence in your listing presentation. That's the heart of what we're going to do today. And that's all based on, it's somewhat based on the use of scripts and dialogues. And a lot of people misunderstand that. I want you to get this idea down. I learned this a long time ago, that scripts are the poetry of selling. Scripts are the poetry of selling. It's how you say things in the most effective way. Gary Keller said, you know, agents have lived before us. They've done a lot of great work. They've learned how to say things in effective and powerful ways, and they've passed those on to us as scripts. So if we master the way they say things, then we will be people of influence, and we will say things well. And so mastering scripts and dialogues, and we all love scripts and dialogues. We don't realize it. We like to, binge on Netflix or watch movies, and all we're watching are actors and actresses quoting scripts. I mean, there's screenwriters that write the dialogue and write the scripts in powerful ways. They're really good with words. And then the actors and actresses simply memorize those, internalize those, and deliver those. And by the way, they don't wing it. In fact, if they go off script, that's what the director will say. Director, stop, cut. You're going off script. I want you to deliver that script exactly as it's written. And they go, oh, yes, sir, right? So scripts are meant to be delivered as they are written. And so we're going to work on that. Scripts and dialogues are powerful. And that leads us to this concept of words that sell. And I want to focus you on a book. I highly recommend it. I've had it for over 20 years. It's by Richard Bayan, B-A-Y-A-N, and it's called Words That Sell. And he has another book called More Words That Sell. But basically, he's a copywriter, and he takes the 30 or 40 main reasons people would do business with you, and he articulates 20 or 30 or different ways to say that. And then he has 150 attention getters in your marketing. If you want to get people's attention, here's a way to pull them in, right? Attention getters, and then a way to talk about yourself. Powerful. So what you'll find as you read his book is you get a feeling for the rhythm of powerful phrases and words and how to use them in your selling and in your influencing. So then all of this is about gaining your self-confidence, because we play a competitive sport. There is maybe no more competitive sport than real estate sales. None. There are so many realtors, so many people trying to go for the business. We don't get paid till we get the business or get it done. And the key to playing any competitive sport is confidence. You hear that from athletes. They'll say, hey, I'm more confident in my putting, or I'm more confident with my three-point shot, or I'm more confident in my skating routine. The confidence leads to success. However, we can't talk ourselves into confidence. We can affirm ourselves, that nothing wrong with that, better than negative for sure. But what leads to confidence is competence. Competence leads to confidence. When we know what we're doing and we're competent, when we know and we've practiced our listing presentation and we're competent, then that leads to us being confident. And of course, that is a game changer. And then, of course, The whole goal of all of this is to give you control of your career. So you become a listing agent, you control your destiny, you do as much business as you want, and you make the money that you want. It gives you control over your career. So let's dive in. There's 3 areas we're going to hit. We're going to hit competence, communication, and then presentation. So first let's deal with competence. Why do people list with us? Because we know what we're doing. We have knowledge, skills, and attitudes that they want, and they want to work with us. So what knowledge do we have? Well, we're a very complicated business. People would say to Gary and me, well, it's not rocket science. And we go, oh, yes, it is. Done at the highest level, real estate is rocket science. What you need to know and the skills you need to build and the disciplines you need to have, they're at a high level. Not many people have them. So it is rocket science. So what knowledge do we get paid for? Well, our knowledge of contracts, finance, and property evaluation. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I'm a master of real estate contracts. By the time we get to the end of this transaction, there will be 75 or 85 pages of legal documents that I will review. And I will make sure they're filled out accurately, no mistakes, no one's taking advantage of you, and you can be confident in signing those and going to closing. I can do that because I'm a master of real estate contracts. So you want to be able to talk just like that. See, I had an agent 2 months ago who said, Dave, this was so good for me. She said, I am a master of contracts. I know the legal side of this business, and I know financing, and I know property evaluation. And yet I didn't think at a listing presentation that I should put that out there. Somehow or other, I thought that was automatic. And, I thought I needed to tell them how many sales I'd done and testimonials I'd gotten and certifications I had. And I realized, no, they're buying my knowledge. And I have that knowledge. So you gave me permission to assert myself and tell them that I really know what I'm doing. I am competent. And so there's contracts. Second one is finance. A lot of top agents say that new agents delegate too much of the financing to their mortgage company. And you can delegate the pre-approval letters and the application and the underwriting, but not the knowledge. The knowledge of financing is there for you to serve buyers and also to serve your sellers as you evaluate offers. So finance is number 2. And then property evaluation. That's a big one. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I'm a master of real estate property evaluation. I'm not a licensed appraiser, but I am actually better than they are at predicting what a home will sell for. And more important than that, making a home worth more so that I can get the highest possible price for you. And the reason we can do that is because I am a master of property evaluation. So you want to talk like that. That's a benefit. So become a master of property evaluation, study them, do CMAs, know values in your market area, know what the trends are, the current trends, neighborhood by neighborhood. You're a master of property evaluation. People expect you to know the market and be able to price their home accurately and to get them the highest possible price. We'll talk about that. So there's your knowledge. Now, skills. We're going to talk about that. You're going to show them your great communication skills, your effective presentation skills, and of course, your ability to negotiate win-win deals by using the Keller Williams Y4C2Ts, right? Win-win or no deal. Together, everyone achieves more. Seek first to understand, because customers always come first. The Y4C2Ts of Keller Williams is brilliant at consumer service and at negotiating. So those are the skills. And then there's 3 attitudes. And your attitude going in, Jay and Gary and I began every book with how you think, how an MREA thinks, how a millionaire real estate investor thinks, how a top agent in tough times thinks, right? How they think matters. And so there's 3 things that I think great listing agents have. One is they're people of intention, 2, assertiveness, and 3, commitment. So intention means you get things done. You make good things happen. You set goals. You have interim goals. You stay on track to those goals. You have accountability. You have an action plan. You use time blocking. You are a person who gets things done. So you can say, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, what you'll find about me is I'm a person of intention. I get things done. I have goals. I achieve those goals. I make things happen. So when I take on the responsibility of handling your listing, you can guarantee that I'm going to get it sold at the highest possible price because I am a person of intention. See, that's how you want to talk. Be a person of intention. Have your goals, have your action plans, have your time blocking, and have your accountability in place. so that you become a person of intention, but then in a listing presentation, sell that benefit of why it's a good thing for them to work with you because you make good things happen. Number two, and this is a big one, assertiveness. See, I think everyone in real estate could be more assertive than they are. Not more aggressive. Aggressive is about control and manipulation. No, no, no. Assertiveness is about standing up and speaking your truth and making sure the right things happen and having the courage to ask for what you want and expect what you want for your clients. So assertiveness is a big deal. I had to learn this. I was a district manager for Century 21 in Syracuse, New York, making $18,000 a year, and I wanted to become a regional director for Century 21, making $150,000 a year or more. And when I set that as a goal, I realized that I needed to become more assertive. I wasn't assertive enough. I was too laid back. I played it too cozy. I wanted people to like me. I was too afraid of their opinion of me. So I just kind of played it easy, soft, right? And I realized as a leader, I couldn't do that. So I found a thing called the Assertiveness Bill of Rights. It was a brilliant document, and I put it up in front of me on my desk, and I followed that. And I started to become more assertive, and I took more chances, and I stood up and was a leader. And ultimately, let me tell you this story, how it worked. So the gentleman who had been the regional director when I was there, his name was Marv, left to go to California to become executive vice president of all of Century 21. And he was replaced with another guy, George, who became the regional director for 3 years. And then after 3 years, George and I became the training director under George. And then George left 3 years later to head up a Century 21 region out of Atlanta. And so the position was open, and they did ask me, I volunteered to interview for it. And I was out in California with Marv interviewing for the job. And I could tell he was setting me up to let me down. He went, Dave, I'm so glad of what you've accomplished. And, you know, we've got so many great leaders here in Century 21. And I knew he was going to say, not now, but maybe in the future. And I said, Marv, let me stop you right now. I just want you to know that the man sitting across the desk from you today is not the one you left 3 years ago back in Rochester. This man is more assertive, more take charge, and I know what that region needs, and I am going to make it rock. He kind of sat back and went, well, really? Okay, Dave, what would you do? And I had my list ready, and I told him the 10 things I would do that would improve that region and make it go, and I got the job. I got the job. Why? Because I had learned to be assertive, to assert myself, not aggressive, but to be assertive. So I would challenge you to become more assertive. I'll tell you how you can get a copy of that Assertiveness Bill of Rights. It's powerful. And then the third thing is to be a person of commitment. One of the great pioneers in Keller Williams, his name was Tom Caldwell in Denver, Colorado. And Tom was the president of Van Schok Realty, the biggest independent real estate company in Denver. And he went to a meeting in Florida where Gary Keller spoke and Dave Liniger of RE/MAX spoke and a bunch of other leaders. And he came back and said to his wife, Gwen, Gary Keller is the future of real estate. He knows where this real estate industry is going, and he's going to lead it. And I want to be with him. And so he resigned his cushy job with Van Schok, and he went down to Austin and signed up for the Colorado region, which he built and grew right in RE/MAX's backyard, got it blowing and going. He's such a great pioneer. And then he sold his rights in the region for a couple $1 million, and he and his wife, Gwen, travel the world because he's a history buff. But he said to me something I'll never forget. He said, Dave, here's the secret of success: doing what you say you'll do. Doing what you say you'll do. He said, be a person of commitment. When you say you're going to do something, do it. He said, I keep a commitment list above my to-do list. I have a to-do list, but I also have a commitment list. And anytime I tell somebody I'm going to do something, I put that on the commitment list. Oh, I'm going to get back to you next week. Let's plan lunch. I'll get that document to you. I'll give you a call tomorrow. Whatever it is, I write that down. He said, and I make sure that I complete those loops. I complete my commitments even before I start to work on my to-do list. So keep a commitment list, be a person of commitment. And you can say, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, one of the things you'll find about me is I'm a person of commitment. If I say I'm going to do something, you can take it to the bank. Promises made, promises kept. You can count on me because I am a person of commitment. See, you want to be able to assert yourself in that way. So there's your attitudes: attention, assertiveness, commitment. There's the knowledge, skills, and attitudes. That's your competence. So we've just focused on your competence. The more you build that competence, the more powerful, the more confident you'll be, and the more powerful you'll be as a real estate agent. Now, the second part is communication. So I learned that at Dale Carnegie too. Dale Carnegie's famous book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. It's in the top 200 of Amazon books, and Amazon sells tens of thousands of different titles every year. How to Win Friends and Influence People is in the top 200, and it was written 75 years ago. Why is that true? Because it's built on timeless truth. Just like MREA. MREA is the best-selling real estate book in the history. 1.4 million copies sold, still #1 today on Amazon in the real estate category, and it was written 17 years ago. Why is it #1? It's filled with timeless truths. And so here's my advice to you. I've done it. Build your life on timeless truths, not on the latest gimmick, not on the latest fad. Build your life on timeless truths. So this is timeless truths about communication. And Dale Carnegie says there are three big ones. #1 is don't criticize, condemn, or complain. Because when you get into that negative space, people don't want to be with you. When you get in there personally, you don't have a good positive attitude. And don't do it in front of them or with them, and certainly don't do it about them. And if you have a caring relationship like my wife Gina and I, we don't criticize or condemn or complain about each other. We're very careful about that. So don't criticize, condemn, or complain. #2 is give honest, sincere appreciation. Perhaps the most powerful script in the world is thank you. I really appreciate that. Powerful. People want to be recognized and appreciated. So give honest, sincere appreciation. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, thank you for opening up your home and giving me the opportunity to earn the right to handle the sale of your home. I appreciate your openness in giving me this opportunity. Thank you. Right? Give honest, sincere appreciation. And then finally, focus on what others want. I mean, that's what Zig Ziglar said. You will get what you want in direct proportion to the number of people who you help get what they want. We're in a service business. So you get what you want by helping others get what they want, but focus on what other people want and how you can help that happen, right? So be focused on serving people and getting them what they want. So those are the big three. Don't criticize, condemn, or complain. Give honest, sincere appreciation, and focus on what others want. And then there's a supportive 6 that are very important. #1, be genuinely interested in other people. Let your curiosity drive you. Gary Gentry, the gentleman who closed the first sale ever in the history of Keller Williams back in 1983, wonderful, iconic agent. He and his wife, Melanie, still run a great team down in Austin. And he said, Dave, I can learn more about somebody in half an hour because I am genuinely curious about them. I ask great questions. I listen carefully. I probe them. And he said, they trust me. So here's the key to connection. Become genuinely interested in other people. #2, smile. Smile. I know in this age of masks and all that stuff, we've dumbed down a nonverbal communication, but let your energy show through your physicality, your expressiveness, your eyes, your muscles, your smile for sure. So smile, let that positive energy come through. #3, remember people's names. It's the magical connection between you and another is their names. And don't say this to me, please don't. Dave, I'm no good at names. Oh, Dave, I've never been good at names. Dave, I just have not been able to remember names. Don't say that. Why would you give yourself that self-talk? Say, I'm working at getting better at remembering names. I'm building some techniques that are helping me remember names. I'm improving my ability to remember names, right? Because see, everyone struggles with remembering people's names because it's 2 parts of the brain, 2 different parts. The part where you build relationships and have a sense of somebody and what they're like, that's the right side of your brain. All the labels, the names, where they came from, where they work, their pets' names, their kid, all that's on your left side of your brain. And your job is to connect the 2, your sense of them with the labels. And that's called, the only way you do it is 2, write it down. Every time you meet somebody new, write down their name. Wherever you meet them, if they're a waitress, if they're somebody that you meet out in the public and just get in a conversation with, or someone that you're serving, like a potential seller, write their name down and make sure you get it right. Make sure the spelling is right. And then say, oh, by the way, Elizabeth, do you like Elizabeth or Beth or Liz? What do you prefer? Okay, good. Dave, David, What do you like? So make sure you know how they like to be addressed, but then get their name written down. And then the only key to this is repetition. The only way, remember, repetition is the mother of memory. Repetition is the mother of skill. So the only way you remember it is repeating it. Hi, Dave, thank you for opening up your home and letting me come and present and earn the right to handle the sale of your home. Dave, I really appreciate that. Let me tell you what I'm going to do. In the next few minutes, Dave, I'm going to ask you a series of questions so I can get a clear idea, Dave, of what you want to accomplish and how I can help you get that done. Does that sound okay, Dave? Yeah. So, you know, I've used the name 5 times. You say, well, that's a bit much. No, it's not to them. They will never get tired of hearing their name. So use it. And of course, that gets it into your memory. So remember people's names. Now, here's the thing. In the listing presentation, there's only a 20-minute segment where you talk about you. All the rest is about them. It's about you building rapport and making connection and them feeling good about you. And that's all about you talking about them or them talking about themselves. So in that whole part, before you get to the listing presentation, encourage them as you're walking around the house and scoping things out and kind of generally getting to know them. Encourage them to talk about themselves. Ask lots of questions, you know, let that really come through and probe and, you know, just really get to know them. And here's the next one, talk about their interests, not yours. Here's a mistake a lot of agents make. They think if we share common interests, that'll bond us. So they might say, well, tell me, what kind of recreation do you like? Oh, we like to play golf. Oh, you like to play golf? Oh, I'm a golf addict. It's amazing. I'm a 5.2 handicap. What's yours? Yeah. And I'm a member of Oak Hill Country Club. Are you a member of a country club? That's great. What great courses have you been able to play? I got to play Pebble Beach. Isn't that amazing? What have I just done? I've taken the conversation away from them rather than focusing on them. So talk about their interests, not yours. No Me Too's. Don't do the Me Too thing, right? It's about them, not you. Now, if you have an interest, say you love movies, and you say, what do you guys like to do? Well, we like to go to the movies. You do? Wonderful. What kind of movies do you really like? Okay. Are there any actors and actresses you follow? Okay. How about directors? Wonderful. And what films have you seen recently that you'd recommend that I go see? Great. Thank you for that. I love movies too. See, that's it. That's all it is. Use your knowledge of whatever it is to connect with them and get their sense, talk about their interests, not yours. And the final one is make others feel important. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I really want you to know that I respect the fact that you've opened your home and given me the chance to earn the right to handle the sale of your home. And I want you to know, I know you're the boss and I have to please you. While we work together, I will be giving you great information and great directions, but I will always do what you say because you're the boss. See, put them in charge. And also if they have a position of authority where they work or at school or whatever, then give them credit for that, right? Make them feel important. So there's a supportive 6. Be genuinely interested in other people, smile, remember people's names, do repetition, encourage others to talk about themselves, talk about their interests, not yours, no Me Too's, and then make others feel important. So there we go. We've got competence and communication. Now let's dive down into the heart of making an effective listing presentation. Number 1 is it's understanding the power of scripts and dialogues. And that's about memorize, internalize, customize, and capitalize. Linda McKissick, who went from failing out of real estate in 1991, and then 8 years later in 1999, we interviewed her. And in that year, the McKissick Group did 352 closed sales. She had 4 admins, 5 buyer specialists, 2 listing specialists, and a manager. She wasn't even managing it. And she said, Dave, what unlocked my career was I learned how to say things effectively. She said, I was just a country girl sort of telling it like it is. And what I had to understand was I was boring. And all these other great salespeople I was hanging out with really said things beautifully. And I realized that I needed to learn how to say things beautifully. And when I talked with them, they said, we've mastered scripts and dialogues. And she said, I began to master the right way to say things, the most powerful way to say things. And at first, that was uncomfortable for me because it felt like it wasn't natural. But the more I did it, the more it became natural. And then my whole career was built on great presentations, great on presentations on why list with me, great presentations on why price it right, great presentations on why work with me. And she said, so every step of it, I mastered my presentation, and I did it with scripts and dialogues. So it's important. It's important. Now, here's the method. You do it just like great screen actors and actresses do. First, you memorize it exactly as it is. Remember, it's poetry. It's poetry. So you want to memorize it like you would a poem. You want the rhythm and the words exactly as it's written, because it was written with magic. And now, once you internalize it, you will get it. But the work it takes is to memorize it. And like we say, your success in real estate will be in direct proportion to the number of people who, when they think of real estate, think of you, right? You will get what you want in direct proportion to the number of people who you help get what they want. Earl Nightingale said that success is the progressive realization of personal, predetermined, worthwhile goals. The more you memorize quotes and sayings, the more you can use them, but it also exercises that memory. And I love even memorizing poems. I remember at the beginning of COVID, over a year ago, I was reflected on the poem "If" by Rudyard Kipling, right? If you can keep your head while all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you, if you can trust yourself while others doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too, if you can wait and not be tired by waiting, or being lied about, not deal in lies, or being hated, not give way to hating, and yet not act too good or talk too wise. If you can dream and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make thoughts your aim, if you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two imposters just the same. Then it goes on for a couple more verses, and it ends with, if you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, then yours is the world and anything that's in it. And more than that, life's battle you'll have won. It's a great poem. But the fun for me was in mastering it by memorizing it. And as I memorized that, and I had memorized a bunch of stuff we're going to do in this presentation, then I really got better and better at saying things in effective ways. So first you memorize it, then you internalize it, so you get the emotional feel of it. That way it comes out in the way it was intended, because inherent in the words is the emotion. You just have to get the feel of it, internalize it, and then you customize it, right? Like, that means scripts are really chunks. They're phrases and words. They're not big, long involved things. That's not scripts. They're chunks. They're sound bites. So, for example, one of the most effective scripts is handle the sale of your home. Right, that's powerful. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I'm here to earn the right to handle the sale of your home. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, when I handle the sale of your home, see, not sell it, market it, list it. Those are dumbed down words. No, handle, that's fiduciary. Handle the sale of your home. So always use that phrase. Mr. and Mrs. Smith have retained me to handle the sale of their home, right? Hear that power? So customize it, use the chunks as you get in. As you get familiar with that, then of course you'll capitalize on it. You'll win at it. So by the way, I just want you to know, because we're going to do a bunch more scripts and dialogues, but the way you can get those from me is to email me, dave@kw.com, Dave, D-A-V-E, @kw.com. And I will send you all these slides. We got a bunch more to do, all these slides. I'll send you the Assertiveness Bill of Rights. I'll send you Dave's favorite scripts, which is a whole bunch of scripts that we won't even include in today's session. But my favorite scripts, I'll send all that to you. All you have to do is write me, Dave@KW, and tell me 3 ahas that you got from this presentation. 3 things that stood out. You can make any other comments you want, but tell me 3 things that you got from this presentation that were valuable to you. Okay, so just do that now. Don't do it now, because we're not even halfway through yet. Okay, so mastering scripts and dialogue. So here's the thing about the listing presentation. There's several steps of it. First, we want to set the stage to get their attention and their readiness to listen to us. By the way, remember, now we're coming down to the crux. We have been getting rapport building and getting a scope of the field and them and what they want. Now we're going to get down to the presentation, which is only going to take maybe 20 minutes maximum, right? 30 minutes maximum, but 20 minutes is probably the right target. And that's where we're talking about why they should list with us. So 1 is setting the stage, 2 is making the presentation, highlighting the key benefits of of why work with us and how we get the results we do, getting clear with them about pricing and staging, and then if necessary, explaining the commission. Okay, so let's dive in. Here's one I learned from Mike Ferry. It's powerful. Some of you already may know this, but you're probably not using it. I would use it. It goes like this: Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I've written down 3 very important questions. May I ask them? First, do you absolutely have to sell your home? Okay. Second, are you willing to price it to sell? Okay. And third, would you like me to handle the sale for you? Wonderful. Here, that's the 3 questions. Now, why do we call it the 1-minute listing presentation? Well, listen to this, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. I've written down 3 very important questions. May I ask them? Great. Do you absolutely have to sell your home? Oh yeah, Dave, we got to be out of here in 6 or 8 weeks. We better get it sold. Wonderful. 2, are you willing to price it to sell? Well, we want to get the most we can, but whatever you tell us, that's what we'll list it at. Wonderful. And would you like me to handle the sale for you? Oh yeah, Dave, you come so highly recommended. Absolutely. We want to list with you. Great. Let's get started. See, I don't even ask. I've got the listing. I've got 3 yeses. I've got the listing. In less than a minute, I got the listing. Now I'm going to get to work. We're going to fill out the contract. We're going to look at pricing strategies. We're going to look at marketing. We're going to look when we want to bring it on the market. We're looking at staging recommendations. We're going to get into the work. I don't even have to say, well, I guess you want to list with me. I mean, that would be stupid. The 3 yeses have just led me right to that, right? So that's why it's a 1-minute listing presentation. Now, sometimes it doesn't go that way, of course, but let's look at another thing. So Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I've written down 3 very important questions. May I ask them? Great. Do you absolutely have to sell your home? Well, no, Dave, we love it here. We do. We just thought we'd put it on the market, see what it would get. Great. Thank you. Are you willing to price it to sell? Well, we need to get at least, 900,000 for it. We need to get at least 900,000. Okay, wonderful. And would you like me to handle the sale for you? Well, we're interviewing 2 other agents also. Great. Okay, let's get started. See, I haven't encountered them on any of those answers, but they've given me information. The reason we ask the questions is we want to know where they are. The first one is motivation. Are they motivated? I mean, if they really are where the first guy said, like, we really love it here, we just want to see what it'll get, I'm not going to take that listing. Why would I waste all my time to just find out that, so they could find out what it would sell for? No, but I am going to probe it. I'm not going to assume that is their real answer. I'm going to see if they're motivated. But the answers to the first question tells me their motivation. The answer to the second one tells me the education they have. Are you willing to price it to sell? Well, we need 900,000, but I know the best we're going to get is about 780 or 790. Then I know I have to educate them about pricing and how that works in the marketplace. I'm not going to do it now, but I know in my mind I'm going to have to educate them about pricing. Right? And then 3 is, would you like me to handle the sale for you? And they say they're interviewing 2 other agents. And I know I've got to create a sense of urgency and a desire for them to list with me now. And then I can say, oh, by the way, I'll call those other 2 agents and let them know that they can bring their buyers to your home, but we've got the listing taken care of. Okay. Would you like me to do that? Yeah, I'd be happy to do it. See, we take the pressure off. So just understand that these 3 questions, no matter what their answers are, they tell you where you are. Sometimes it'll lead right to the listing and away you go. Sometimes you'll have to stumble and figure out, right, where you go from here to overcome the 3, but it tells you motivation, education, and commitment to you. So the 1-minute listing presentation. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I've written down 3 very important questions. May I ask them? Great. 1, do you absolutely have to sell your home? Okay. 3, are you willing to price it to sell? 2, are you willing to price it to sell? And 3, would you like me to handle the sale for you? Notice how you bob your head, yes. So nonverbals are important. So practice that. That's why I did it as many repeated times as I did, because that's how you master it. That's how you practice it, repetition. Now, there's another one called the 3 outcomes. And because you want to get their attention and focus right now, you've been chatting with them and going around, and now it's time to get down to business, and you want them to know you're ready to get down to business and they'd better pay attention. So it goes like this. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, at the end of our meeting, one of 3 things will happen. 1, you will decide to have me handle the sale for you. Or 2, you will decide not to list with me. Or 3, I will decide not to take your listing. Now, any of those 3 is okay with me. Does that make sense? Whoa, 2 things. 1 is we're going to make a decision tonight. So they're going to now pay attention because you're saying this isn't going to be a think about it. 1 of 3 things will happen. And one of those things might be that you walk. See, you don't want to come there being needy and really needing this listing. You don't want that. And you want them to know you're willing to walk. Well, Dave, why wouldn't you take our listing? Well, because my job is to not only meet your expectations, but exceed them. And after we've talked, if I think I can exceed your expectations, then I'm not going to lock you into something that's no good for you. And I certainly wouldn't do it for me. So we'll just part friends and walk away. Does that make sense? Okay, but we think we'd like you to list it. See, they're gonna want to pull you back in now. That's it, right? So very simple. Now, by the way, the other thing is you want them having this expectation. This isn't going to take very long because you don't want it to. Great listing agents, other than building rapport and then doing the work of pricing and all that, which is the work, then you want that listing presentation to be maybe 20 minutes, 30 at the most. So now you get their expectation right. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, at the end of our meeting, which by the way, should only take about 20 minutes, 30 at the most, one of three things will happen. One, you will decide to have me handle the sale for you. Or two, you will decide not to list with me, or I will decide not to take your listing. Any of those three is really okay with me. Does that make sense? Great, let's get started. See, now you've set the stage, and by the way, now you're in control. That's a big deal. Now, about control, here's another thing. This is one comes from Floyd Wickman. It's called setting the stage. And that is, he said, when you tell people what's going to happen next, they get a sense of security. One is you're organized. Two is you've given them a sense it isn't going to go on forever. So they have an expectation of what's coming next. And you do that in the sale too, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. By the way, you can ask me questions at any time that you want, but I will be reporting to you on a regular scheduled basis where we are in the sale of your home so that you know exactly what's happening. See, that's giving them, here's what's going to happen next. So, but in this case, let's go back to the sales presentation, the listing presentation. It's called the Safe Island, and it uses a little memory technique called stacking. See, those of us who are experienced trainers, when we go into a room, we have all the sections of the training we're going to do stacked as objects. So the object reminds us of what that section is. When I would teach the Dale Carnegie sales course, I would have 18 or 20 items stacked because I would go through a 3-hour class with no notes or no anything, because that was the expectation of a Dale Carnegie instructor. But I would have all those sections in my mind locked. It's a mnemonic technique, right? It's called stacking. So let's kind of show how this would work here. So here's the stack. On the bottom is the letter B followed by the number 4, B4 in bright pink, B4. On top of that is a stopwatch that has 1 minute on it. And we think 1 minute. Out of the top of the stopwatch comes 4 steps. And we think 1, 2, 3, 4. On the top step are a whole bunch of question marks all garbled together. On top of the question marks is a shopping cart. We call it a market basket, because we want the word market, a market basket, a shopping cart full of numbers, market basket. And then on top of the market basket is a jail cell, a window with bars in it and a prisoner behind it. And we think jail cell. And on top of the jail cell is a spiral staircase with steps, and we think steps, okay? So on the bottom is what? B4, and then 1 minute, and then 4 steps, and then question marks, and then market basket, and then jail cell, then spiral staircase with steps. Okay, that's the stack. And here's how it goes. Listen to how I follow the stack. You ready? Mr. and Mrs. Seller, before we begin, may I take a minute to tell you how I work? Great. Basically, I use a 4-step process. First, I'm going to ask you a series of questions so I can get a clear idea of what you want to accomplish and how I can help. Then I will give you enough market information to make a rational decision about the price to place on your property. And then I'm going to honestly sell you on the benefits of working with me and my company and how we get the results that we do. And then when you hire me to handle the sale for you, I will tell you step by step all the things I will do to cause your home to sell. Should we get started? Yeah, great. Let's go. So that's called the Safe Island, right? Setting the stage, getting their mind right, and it makes you seem to them very organized, and it relieves them because they know it isn't going to go on forever, which they may have been a little worried about, okay? So now let's look at the heart of selling. The heart of being a person of influence is this. It's called facts, benefits, feelings, facts, benefits, feelings, facts, benefits, feelings. It's what I learned in the Dale Carnegie sales course. Every sales presentation is built on facts, benefits, feelings, facts, benefits, feelings. Facts is what I do. Benefits is what they get. Feelings is how it makes them feel. Facts, benefits, feelings. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, here's what I do, which means that you get this, and therefore it makes you feel like this. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, as I said to you, I will give you enough market information so that we can make a rational decision about the price to place on your property so that you get the highest price possible and have the satisfaction and good feeling of having gotten the most for your home. Does that make sense? Yeah. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, as I said to you, you can ask questions anytime, but I will report to you on a regular basis so that you will know exactly where we are in the process of getting your home sold. And you can have that sense of respected and listened to and peace of mind that we're on track to get that done. Does that make sense? Yeah. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, you know, as I mentioned before, there are going to be 75 or 85 pages of legal and financial documents. I'm going to review all those in detail and make sure they're filled out accurately, no mistakes, no one's taken advantage of you, and you can be confident about signing those and making it smoothly to closing and having that feeling of confidence and security, knowing that everything's been taken care of. How's that sound to you? Yeah, good. So that's what you do. Remember that. You tell them what you do, that's the fact, what they receive from that, the benefit, and then how that makes them feel, and really get good at this facts, benefits, feelings. And anytime you're trying to talk to anyone about doing something, think about this. Here's what we're going to do. Here's the benefit you get, and here's the feeling as a result. And really focus on those feelings of security and satisfaction and well-being and, you know, peace of mind. Those are important. So that's the key. Now, pay really close attention because I want to take you right now to the heart of a powerful listing presentation. Right? After all this other stuff, it comes to this. You ready? Mr. and Mrs. Seller, there's really 3 reasons to list with me. 1 is you can trust me. 2 is I will answer all your questions. And 3 is I will protect you all the way through closing. Does that sound right? Should we get started? Good. See, that's it. That's the heart of it. It's not all your track record and all the stuff you've done and talk on and on about stories of people you've worked with. No, this is what they care about. Can they trust you? Will you take them seriously and answer their questions? And will you take care of everything, handle the sale all the way through closing, protect their interests, right? That's what they want to know. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, there are really 3 fundamental reasons to list with me. 1, you can trust me. 2, I will answer all your questions. And 3, I will protect you all the way through closing. Is that what you'd like? Yeah, let's get started. See, and then just assume and then get started doing it. Now, you might feel comfortable, saying and putting a few more words in. I don't think it's necessary, but you could say, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, there's really 3 reasons to list with me. 1 is you can trust me. All the people I work with say they would trust me with their children and with their bank accounts. You can trust me. 2 is I will answer all your questions and you can ask them anytime you want and I will answer. And by the way, I'm a professional. So I know what I know and I know what I don't. And if I know the answer, you'll get it. And if I don't know the answer, I've got this world-class company behind me and I will get us the right answer. But I will always answer all your questions. And 3 is I will protect you all the way to closing through every step, all of the 75 or 85 pages of legal documents, any interests of other people. I will make sure we're getting what you want and no one's trying to take advantage of you and you can be secure in going to closing because I will protect you all the way through closing. See, so if you need to fill in a few more words, you can do it, but really the heart of it is real clean. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, there really are 3 reasons to list with me. 1, you can trust me. 2 is I will answer all your questions. And 3, I will protect you all the way through closing. Is that right? Let's get going. Okay, important. Now, there are a few other scripts and so one of the magical things is, what are the details of what you're going to do? Well, it's on page 95 of MREA. There's a listing presentation right there on page 95 of MREA. You could make a photocopy of that, bring it into a seller and read it. And that would be better than 95% of all listing presentations they will ever get. because it's going to tell them exactly what you're going to do. Right. And on page 151 are the 14 ways that you market a home that causes it to sell to get the best price. Now, how you use that is up to you. So we say, by the way, okay, as we get started, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, by the way, there's 10 important things that I'm going to do to serve you and get your home sold successfully. How much detail would you like me to go in about that? Oh, Dave, don't worry about all that detail. No, we trust you. Just tell us as we go along. We know you'll tell us what we need to hear. Great, let's get started. We go. Or I may say, so Mr. and Mrs. Seller, there's 10 important things I do to serve you and get your home sold successfully. How much detail would you like me to go into? Oh, Dave, would you tell us what all 10? We wonder what real estate agents do. We really do. What are the 10 things that you do? Well, let me just take a minute to briefly tell you. First of all, one is I'm going to ask you a series of questions. I'm going to do a thorough needs analysis so I know your priorities and plans and I can help you make that happen. Number two is we're going to develop a pricing strategy to get you the most money for your home. And three, as part of that, I'm going to recommend making some repairs and staging, and I'll help you get those done. And four, we'll put together, I have 14 steps of the way I market a home. We'll put together a marketing strategy that makes sense for your time and for your home. And then number five, my work really begins when we get our first offer, because I have to evaluate it and see if it's sincere, thorough, whether they can follow through on it, and whether we're willing to take your home off the market, or if we want to counter offer and negotiate, or perhaps number six, I'll negotiate because we may get more than one offer, and I'll negotiate all that, but I will negotiate the final contract to make sure that all the terms are right and fits what you need. And as a result of that, number seven, the buyer may require some repairs or work, and I have a list of vendors that do that, and I will get us prices and run them by you and get your approval, and never do anything without your approval. But I will coordinate all those repairs. And then finally, of course, as I said, there's going to be 75 pages of legal documents. I will review all those, go over them with you, make sure you're comfortable in signing them, and we're ready to go to closing. And of course, at closing, I'll be there to advise you and resolve any issues that come up. That makes sense? And of course, after closing, I want to be your realtor for life. So I'll help you after. I'll help you make your move. Oh, by the way, do you have an agent where you're buying a home yet? I mean, do you have that? Because I can get you a great agent, and then we can coordinate. I can coordinate with them the purchase of that home with the sale of this one. Would you like me to do that? Yeah, good. I'd be happy to. And then, of course, the sale of your home creates a tax event, and I will make sure that you have all the documents you need to take to your CPA or tax prep person for filing next year's taxes. Does that make sense? Good. Any questions? Yeah, great. Let's get started. See, so here it is. In a matter of 2 or 3 minutes, you can review in very clear detail. This is what's on page 95. The 10 things you will do. No one else will be that thorough with them ever. I promise you. Now, let's get to some ways that set you apart, really lift you up above them. Okay, in terms of your work. First is expressing what it means to be a fiduciary agent without using that term, because most people don't know what fiduciary is. But this is a great thing to bring to them that sets you apart from other agents. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, by the way, I just want to remind you, I am licensed by the state of Minnesota to represent you in the sale of your home. And I will always place your interests above the interests of any other party, including my own. And I'm committed to get you the highest price in the shortest time with a minimum of inconvenience to you. See, that's just so powerful. It sets you apart, at a higher level and because, you're endorsed by the state, and not to represent any buyer, seller, to represent them. You make it very personal to them. So Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I just want to remind you that I am licensed by the state of Minnesota to represent you in the sale of your home. And I will always place your interests above the interests of any other party, including my own. And I'm committed to get you the highest price in the shortest time with a minimum of inconvenience to you. See, powerful, sets you apart. Now, Linda McKissick said, Dave, you have to learn to state the obvious in emotionally powerful ways. Listen to that. She said, Dave, you have to learn to state the obvious in emotional, powerful ways that differentiate you from others. And I said, well, give me an example. And she said, well, Dave, here's what I say to my sellers. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, when you hire me to handle the sale of your home, I will immediately, tomorrow morning, notify all the other realtors in the area that 1, it's on the market, 2, its best features, and 3, why they should bring their qualified buyers to see it. Would you like me to do that? Oh yeah, Linda, would you do that for us? Oh, great, that'd be wonderful to have you do those things. See, a mediocre agent's gonna say, well, put it in the MLS and then we'll put a sign in the yard, but see, a good agent takes it to a higher level and you say, yeah, well, everyone puts it in the MLS. Yeah, but they don't tell the seller what the benefit is and don't take the credit for causing that. You are a member of the MLS. You agree to all its standards. You're setting that platform in place that helps buyers and sellers. Take credit for it because this is what it does. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, when you hire me to handle the sale of your home, I will immediately, sense of urgency, tomorrow morning notify all the other realtors in the area that it's 1, on the market, and 2, its best features. See, I'm going to be a promoter. And 3, why they should bring their qualified buyers to see it. See, when they work with you, they get qualified buyers. Powerful. So master that. It's a great script on what it means to put them in the MLS. But here's another one that also is stating the obvious. This comes from Althea Osborne. Althea Osborne was the #1 agent in all of Keller Williams in Austin for years and years, #1 agent of all companies for many, many years. And she had a wonderful, by the way, marketing technique. She would see all these new technology companies starting in Austin, and she would find out who the owner was, and she would go in and say, hi, Jim, my name's Althea Osborne. I'm with Keller Williams. And by the way, I love to see this new company that you're starting, and I'd like to be part of your recruiting team. They go, what do you mean, Althea, part of my recruiting team? Well, I know you're trying to get people to move here from other areas. And when you bring them in for an interview, I'll give them an area tour. I'll show them the area, why this is such a great place to live. I'll have them talk to some other people that live here, if that helps. And if you decide to hire them, I'll even help them get a home. Isn't that amazing? I'll even help them find a home. It's the last thing, but the first thing was helping them recruit. And that's what they wanted. See, first we give others what they want, and then that leads to what we want. And in her case, they all said, yeah, we would like you to help. And she did. And by the way, after people would leave, they'd call her and say, Althea, what did you think of them? What do you think of them? What did they have to say? Anything about the company? Do you think we should hire them? Right. And of course, when they moved there, she helped them buy a home. And then she said they, sold that home and then listed other ones, and it built a whole career for her. But that wonderful technique. But she said, as I was dealing now with them with very high priced homes, they would always ask me, Althea, where are you going to advertise our home? And she said, I had an answer for them that they needed to understand. So it goes like this. So Althea, where are you going to advertise our home? Well, Jim, let me educate you about how real estate really works. Ads don't sell homes, realtors do. And I'm already investing half of my commission as an incentive for the best agents to bring their qualified buyers to your home. And as your agent, I will never waste your money, and I certainly wouldn't waste my own. Isn't that powerful? See, it's so real. Now she's taking charge, assertive behavior. Let me educate you about how real estate really works. So that's where you step up. They don't know how real estate really works. You do. You're the pro. Stand up and be the pro. A lot of agents think that they kind of credit the sellers with knowing more about real estate than they do. No, you're the one that knows real estate. And also you say, well, she's just talking about co-broking. Well, yeah, but co-broking hasn't been around forever. I remember early in my days in the real estate business, some brokers wouldn't co-broke. The only way you could get to that listing was through them. But we've agreed as an industry to do the MLSs, share information, and to do co-broking, share the commissions. But remember, it's still your commission and you're still deciding to share it. So, it goes like this. Where are you going to advertise our home? Jim, let me educate you about how real estate really works. See, ads don't sell homes, realtors do. And I'm already investing half of my commission as an incentive for the best agents, notice how she's saying it positively, to bring their qualified buyers to your home. And then here's the kicker. As your agent, I will never waste your money, and I certainly wouldn't waste my own. Isn't that powerful? It's just powerful. So master it, master that. Now, the other is master who you're with. this is an important thing. There's a reason we're the #1 real estate company in the world, because we're the best. We're the best for agents. We have the best trained agents. We have the best offices that support our agents. We are very committed to the real estate industry, members of the board. We have licensed brokers right on site with us. We do everything that supports the interest of the consumer and the agent. And a lot of other companies are trying to cut it short and not provide those critical presences and services that we do. But we at Keller Williams are committed to this. So we need to talk about our company in a powerful way. I remember in the old days, when we only had 5, 6, 7,000 agents in the whole company, and somebody, one of our best agents would go to somebody and they would say, well, I'd love to list my home with you, but who's this company you're with, this Keller? Oh, Keller Williams. Let me tell you about Keller Williams. Keller Williams is the newest, most innovative and fastest growing real estate company in North America. Yeah, and right here in Minnesota. Yeah, see, but now it's a different game because we're the leader of the industry, 40% larger than anybody else. So we say, so Mr. and Mrs. Seller, let me tell you about Keller Williams. Keller Williams is the largest, most innovative, and highly respected real estate company in the world. And then we tell them a triple about us. And I'm with Keller Williams because at Keller Williams, I'm a partner in the business. I get to share in the profits. I have a say in all the decisions. And more important than that, I am empowered to do whatever it takes to best serve you. See, that's true. In Keller Williams, you're treated as a partner, which means you can share in the profits, profit share. You can have a say in all the decisions, the ALC, and you are free within ethics and the law to do whatever you think is best for your customer. You don't have to go check with management. It's a big deal. So, and I'm with Keller Williams because at Keller Williams, I'm a partner in the business. I get to share in the profits. I have a say in all the decisions. And more important than that, I am empowered to do whatever it takes to best serve you. See, powerful. Differentiate yourself that way. Take pride in the company that you're with. Now, pricing. Let's get to pricing. This is all, by the way, chapter 6 and 7 of the book Shift. Chapter 6 and 7 of the book Shift, how to help people understand pricing. So we never argue with them and we never give the price ahead of time. It's part of our service. And here's how we talk about pricing. So Dave, we need to get at least 900,000 for our home. Hey, I understand. And by the way, I am committed to get you the highest possible price. No questions asked. We will get the highest possible price for your home. Now, we both have to deal with the reality of the marketplace because today's marketplace and today's buyer are going to determine what your home will sell for. And remember, there's 2 markets out there. There's homes that are on the market, but they're overpriced and they don't look very good. And they're getting some showings, but no offers. And then there's homes that are in the market, they're priced right, they look good, and they're getting not only offers, they're getting multiple offers. So my job as your agent is not just to list your home and put it on the market, it's to make sure that we are in the market because that allows us to take advantage of a window of opportunity. See, a lot of people don't understand that we're going to get our best price in the first 10 days to 2 weeks that we hit the market. You know why? Because when we put your home on the market, all the realtors and their buyers give their focus to it. And if we make a bad first impression, if we're overpriced or not in good shape, or have repair issues, they're gone and they won't be back. They won't be back. We will have a bad reputation. So we have to hit the market right. We have to look good and be priced right. And then what happens is we get a real focus of activity and we will get our very best price in that first 10 days to 2 weeks. Does that make sense? That's what we're going to do. Research says this is what it is. That's what we're going to do. I'm going to help get you the highest possible price. See, so make sure that you have that discussion. You're always on their side. And if they say, well, another agent said we could get $1.2 million for it. And you go, well, agents can say anything to try and get your listing. The fact of the matter is that they aren't going to determine what your home sells for. The market is. And my job is to make sure we prepare ourselves correctly to get the best price on your home. And that's going to take some work for us looking at the information, the market information, and your home before we do that. So this isn't a bidding war. I've seen agents who try and bid, outbid other agents by saying they can get more, but in the end, they don't. In fact, they disappoint the people who hire them. So no, I'm going to tell you what you need to know. and you can trust me, I'm going to get you the highest possible price. That makes sense? Good. Let's get started, right? So they hire you, and your pricing strategy is what you do with them. Now, one final element that comes up. So Dave, would you cut your commission? Well, I'll tell you what, first I want you to know I respect you for asking that. I really do. I know you're trying to get the best deal you can, the best value for yourself and your family, and I respect that. In fact, I love this real estate business so much that there might be some days I think I would do it for free, but I don't think my family would like that. So let's talk about commission. Many people don't understand what happens to the commission. So let me explain. First of all, half of it, 3%, goes to the company or agent that brings us a qualified buyer. So in a sense, that's not a commission, that's a marketing fee, right? Of the remaining 3%, 1/3 of it, 1%, goes to the world-class company that I'm a part of that brings great service to us in getting your home sold, Keller Williams. And then another 1/3 of it, 1%, goes to my business expenses, my technology, my marketing, my staffing. And so that only leaves 1/3 of it, 1%, that goes to me and my family. And I know that you realize it would be very wrong for me to cut that. Does that make sense? Are we good? Great, let's go. A lot of them think you're getting the whole 6%. And you know you're not. There's only a small percent of that, 1 of the 6, that you're actually taking home to you and your family. So this just makes it clear. And a lot of people just don't understand it. Never be embarrassed by your commission, by the way. Commissions are always negotiable. I use 6%, but the average nationally is about 5.6, 5.7%, but it varies for transaction to transaction and deal to deal. It's always negotiable, always there. But here's the thing, that our industry has stabilized roughly the price it takes for us to do the job. We have to build an MLS, we have to do co-broking, we have to have offices with brokers that are responsible. We are a highly regulated industry to protect the consumer, and all of that costs money. And so this price to get their home sold is really legitimate and strong. So don't ever feel embarrassed by it. In fact, I have agents I work with who say, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, by the way, I just want you to know right here at the beginning, I charge 1% more than other agents in the market. They'll charge 5 or 6, I charge 7. The reason is because of the depth of my experience and my knowledge of the marketplace. I know I'm going to get you a higher price and I'm worth it. So I charge 7%. Is that okay with you? All right, good. See, a lot of them will like that idea, that you're quality. So anyway, don't be embarrassed by it. Tell them exactly what it is you do. Now, I'd like to close with this. The most powerful sales presentation you will ever make in your life, and that's the one you make to yourself. And I call it the power of self-talk. I will tell you, there's a wonderful book called Feeling Good that talks about the power of how we talk to ourselves and the 10 ways we talk to ourselves that create anxiety, panic, doubt, and discouragement. It's called Feeling Good by Dr. David Burns. So I highly recommend that in terms of shaping up your self-talk, because your self-talk is so important. And by the way, again, I just want to remind you, I will send you all these slides, plus the Assertiveness Bill of Rights, plus my collection of Dave's favorite scripts, which include a lot more that weren't in this presentation, plus the Rudyard Kipling poem, If. I'll send you all that. All you have to do is write me, email me, dave@kw.com, and give me 3 ahas that you got, 3 insights that you got from this presentation. Just send that to me. Now we're going to open it up for questions and ahas in just a second, about a minute or so. But please just send me your 3 ahas, 3 insights, and I will send those to you within a day. I'll get those to you within a day. I promise that, right? So the power of self-talk, I want you to really get clear on the way you talk to yourself. I want you to say, I'm in a skill-based sales profession that is not easy. This is not an easy profession. It is rocket science. And I'm mastering those skills. I'm putting in the time and the energy, and I know I'm mastering the knowledge and skills. And I practice hard and long like a professional athlete, like a professional performer. I practice my trade hard and long. And therefore, I'm increasing my own self-confidence. My competence is leading to my confidence. And as I get more confident, other people can feel that positive energy from me. They can feel it. And I am taking lots of listings that sell. And then my reputation is growing. I'm doing just listed, just sold cards. So my reputation is growing. I'm building my database. And I am doing what Gary Keller says to do in the book. I'm thinking big, I'm aiming high, and I'm acting bold. There we go. Why list with me? So we'll open it up now to anyone that has either chatted in a comment or a question. You can chat it in or unmute yourself and ask, or just make a comment. Either way, we're not looking. There's no right answer. Just interested in anything that you want to ask about any of this that I presented, or anything related to it, or any question that you have.
Hey, Dave, my name's Dawn, and
Hi, Dawn.
If you have a full listing presentation based off of the snippets that you've given.
No, this is it. There's nothing more you have to say. There's nothing more. This is it. There's nothing more. I mean, you're really looking at a whole presentation. You set it up, you do all your getting to know them, you do all that, where you're getting to know and assess. Then you sit down and say, okay, you set the stage. Here's what's going to happen next, right? You ask your 3 questions. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I've written down 3 questions so you know where you stand. You may find out that right there you have the listing. So you're done. Now you get to work, right? Remember, there's the setup, which is building rapport. There's the presentation, which is getting the answer to list with you. And then there's doing the work of filling in the contract and doing a pricing strategy and the work of getting their home sold. That's the whole game. So there's nothing more. Anything more that you would put in this is superfluous. This is it. And remember, just think about it. You get your question asked and you say, okay, let's get started. And then you tell them why they should list with you. And then if need be, you tell them the 10 things you're going to do that cause their home to sell. So if someone says, well, I'm not quite sure what you're going to do, say, great, let me review that. There are really 10 things I do to cause your home to sell successfully. Here are the 10. Any questions? Great. Are we ready to get started? So you've always got that question mark. Are we ready to get started? Are we okay? You ready to go? Should we get this done? Let's get going, right? It's that assumptive close. It's not, well, what do you think? Do you want to list with me? See, that's not a script. That's like an insecure script. So you're always better off to say, are we ready to get started? Well, not really, not yet. We've got a couple more questions. Great. What are they? See? Well, we'd like to talk to some other agents. Oh, okay. What is it that you think you would need to know from them? Do you think I can get the job done? Are you convinced? Do you trust what I've just said? See, I put it right on the table. Do you trust what I've just said? Well, yeah, we do. Great. Well, let's get after it. See, I think agents, they're too insecure and they wander around. They think there's more things they need to say. There isn't. Because their confidence in you is going to come from your confidence in you. What you know is, contracts, you know financing, and you know property evaluation. You know how to make a home sell for more. And I would just tell you, you want to master chapters 7 and 8 of the book Shift, because that's the whole thing about pricing it and staging it. And I have agents that say, you know what, I've done the research on this and I get a higher percent for my sellers than it costs them to list with me. I had an agent, Gary Gentry, in Austin, Texas, who actually had an appraiser work, and he took a sample of 30 listings that he had sold, and that appraiser appraised them versus the other homes in the category that were sold, and found out that his homes were selling for 5.2% higher than other homes in that category. And he made that claim. Now, if you haven't done that research, just say, my experience tells me that the homes I list sell for higher than other ones. That's how I earn my place. But so that's why I go back to that assertiveness Bill of Rights. If you can't come into a listing presentation and assert confidently why they should list with you, you need to work on that. You need to work on your competence, your communication, or your presentation. One of those three right then is lacking. So that's why I make such an emphasis at the beginning that your competence leads to your confidence. The competence comes with mastering the business we're in and mastering your presentation. Does that make sense, Dawn?
It does. Thank you. I appreciate it.
No, that's a great question, because it's always that. Is there, Dave, isn't there really, like, you've just given us some snips and tidbits, and no, I haven't. I've given you the whole presentation. Yeah. Good. Anyone else?
My office has both mics on. I've got you on my phone right now.
All right, Trent, yeah, double up on the mics. Nothing better than
You're echoing. It sounds like Wizard of Oz when the guy comes
nothing
up.
better than a little Zoom feedback, right?
Yeah, for sure. I'll go in the other room because it's still echoing. First of all, thank you for doing this. Appreciate it. My biggest
Thank you, Market Center, for bringing me here.
Learning to state the obvious in a powerful and emotional manner. I think I'm sure I'm butchering that, but
No, you're saying it. No, you're saying it exactly right. By the way, there's no way to butcher it. You're saying it exactly right. To state the obvious in an emotionally powerful way, right?
Yeah, I think we take it. I think we kind of take for granted the tools that we have at our fingertips, and we just assume the consumer knows all of this stuff. And it's just, I had to be reminded of that we have to dummy this down.
Well, no, you're not. You're actually smarting it up. Okay.
Right.
No, you really are, because what you're doing is they may have heard of the MLS, and someone else would say, oh, we'll put it in the MLS. But what you're describing is what that means, that all the other realtors immediately know their home and its best features and why they should bring their qualified buyers to see it. Oh, wow. See, so the reason you're doing it is, one, they may not be informed, just like the commission thing, right? Or just like the co-broke thing with the where you're going to advertise my home. They may not know that, so you're educating them. The second thing, though, you're doing is you're setting yourself apart from anybody else. You sound like you're doing more than they are. When they say, oh, yeah, we'll put it in the MLS, and you're saying, by the way, tomorrow morning I will, and you go through that whole routine, you sound like you're doing more. So it's a competitive strategy.
Yeah, love that. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet, Trent. No, thank you for your insight. Anybody else question or comment or?
I also liked how you described mastering the scripts and dialogues as the actors and actresses memorizing their lines and just presenting it, just seeing it in a different way. I love scripts and dialogues. I don't have a problem with that. It just, it's nice to see it in a different light and present it differently.
Also in that is there's some techniques. I was in community theater for a while, and one of the directors was really guiding us and coaching us how you master scripts and dialogues. And one of the ways you do it, of course, in a play, you've got both sides of the conversation and everything going on, but you're trying to memorize yours. But what you do, there's two things you do. First, you do speed reading. You do it as fast as you can, as fast as you can, as fast as you can, as fast as you can. You say it as fast as you can. Mr. and Mrs. Sell, there's really 3 reasons to listen with me. 1, you can trust me. 2, I'll answer all your questions. 3, I will protect you all the way to the closing, right? You just do that. You do it as fast as you can, repetitive, and you do it together. See, when you're doing it as a team, the best way to practice scripts and dialogues is not to go back and forth, because now you're getting complicated with somebody's answers and they're trying to stumble you up and all that. No, that role playing is a different form of training. The first training you do is together. You repeat the scripts together, like in unison, and you really learn. You hear it and you're saying it at the same time, and you're doing it. And great actors and actresses, that's what they do. They call it speed reading. Then the next thing you do is you slow it down and do an exaggerated emotional script. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, there are really 3 reasons to list with me. 1 is you can trust me, right? I mean, just go over the top. You just go over the top emotionally, obviously in practice, not with them. And because that gives you your body the sense of the emotion you're trying to convey. If you're trying to make it sound conversational, you'll miss the point. You'll miss the emotional content if you're just trying to make it sound, this is ho-hum conversational. This is how I talk all the time. No, this is how I talk when I'm making a sales presentation. It's showtime. It's prime time. I'm stepping it up another notch. This isn't how I talk to my kids or over the dinner table. This is when I'm in my professional mode. So one of the things to do is to really work at exaggerating the emotions so that then when you do it more conversationally, it still has that rhythm and that impact. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's awesome. I appreciate the tips.
Yeah, no, you bet. You bet. It is a game. It's a game. And it's like somebody, taking lessons from a golf pro who's telling you, here's how you hold the club, and here's how you stance, and here's where you keep your eyes focused, and here's how your body moves. And, you're doing something and it feels a little uncomfortable at the beginning, but the pro is kind of showing you how that works. And then you practice parts of it, and then pretty soon you're hitting the ball really well. So that this is not dissimilar. I mean, I think real estate selling, particularly listing presentations, is a competitive sport. Yeah, really is. And fun. It's fun to actually view it that way, because then it's kind of a game. Make it a game. Yeah, make it a game. It is a game, and you get paid for it. Yeah, good. Anybody else?
Oh, hey, Dave. My name is Katie Rose, and I just wanted to reach out and say hi. I loved your presentation today.
Thank you.
My dad also took a Dale Carnegie class before he started his career. And he always said, it just made such a difference in his career. And anyhow, to have this focused on real estate is such a gift for me, because I try to really keep educated and just listen to people like you, and you living and breathing all of this and presenting it in such a way. Dealing with real estate was an awesome way to look at it, and it just enlightened me so much and got me pumped up. So I'm really excited that you'll be joining us for the next few months. And
we have one a month.
Forward.
This is the first of 5. So
very cool. Well, yeah,
they're each kind of uniquely different with a different cut. This is very hands-on, because we're talking exactly about how to present and say things. And so I hope it was helpful.
It was helpful. And I love taking this to my next listing presentation will be golden. So yeah, thanks again.
You're welcome. And the other thing, Katie, is I want to say to everyone, and the reason that Meg is recording this, or did record it, is so you can re-listen to it. I've had a lot of agents say to me, not only did I like the script, but I like the way you said it, right? I like to feel the way you emphasized it. I like the feel of the way you made it conversational. And they said, there's a lot of things that you added in after the script, like, are we ready, or how you doing, or that she said really just were so natural. And I want to incorporate that sense in the way I do it. So again, one of the reasons that you recorded it there was so you can listen to it again and feel free to do that. Yeah.
Great reminder. Really good. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome, Katie. Very good. Anybody else? What do you think, Meg? Are we all set?
I think so. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
You bet. Take care, everybody.
Thanks, Dave.
We'll see you on May 26th.